Happy Tuesday, everybody, from Houston, Texas, and welcome to Stellar Parenting with Brandi. I am your host, Brandi Kahn. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I also hold a Master of Science degree in psychology with an emphasis in child and adolescent development. And I really love teaching parents, guardians, and teachers how to combine the magic of the stars and the planets with the art of consciously raising children. You can find me online at brandycon.com, and that's Brandi with an I, and Con is Khan. Or if you would like to be on the priority list when it comes to being a caller on this show, please join my Facebook group, Psychology Infused Astrology, and put your name on the list that's posted at the top. So on today's show, we will have a caller, and this caller sent in the birth information for both of her daughters. So I will be doing what I love, and I will be telling her exactly what I think about their natal charts. And again, if you are interested in doing this and having a natal chart reading for your child done, or, so you can know more about how your child is wired from an astrological perspective, please join my Facebook group, Psychology Infused Astrology, and sign up on the list. Before we begin, let's dive into our weekly series in the spotlight. And please listen carefully because this could be a placement that shows up in your child's natal chart. So, for our placement this week, we've got the moon in the sign of, drumroll please, Libra. And I picked Libra because we are now in Libra season and we've got a solar eclipse occurring in Libra tomorrow. So in astrology, again, the moon represents our feelings, our emotions, our sensitivity, what makes us feel safe and what makes us feel nurtured. And the reason why this is so important in a child's chart, and I'm talking about the moon placement, the reason why it's so important in a child's chart is because we really want to give our children a sense of attachment, secure attachment. And what that means is giving them a sense of safety. And in order to give them a sense of safety, that really starts with understanding the language of your child's moon. What house is their moon located in? What sign is their moon in? Are there any aspects that are made to their moon? It's crucial that you understand all of this about your child because then you understand their emotional landscape and you understand what gives them a sense of safety. So with Libra, Libra is a cardinal air sign. And when we're dealing with cardinal signs, initiating, leading, starting things is very important. And with air signs, communication, sharing ideas, friendships, relationships tend to be very important. So, people with strong Libra placements usually tend to really value peace and harmony. Peace and harmony are essential. They're so important. And so for a child with heavy Libra placement, sun, moon, or rising, it's so important to them. They want to feel like they're liked by those around them. They want to feel like they are appreciated. They want to feel as if they are socially accepted. Okay, that's very important for Libra because Libra is one of the signs of relationship. So there's a strong need to interact with others, a strong need to be with others, to relate to others with the sign of Libra. And so you might notice with your child, if their sun, moon, or rising is in Libra, they might not like to do things on their own. They might always want to do things in a group or with their friends. And if so, that's okay. That's how they're wired. That's how the archetype of Libra is expressing itself through your child. And so these children tend to be very affectionate. They tend to be very warm hearted, good natured, and usually they make friends very, very easily. And it's so easy for them to see the good in other people. And that's a really good thing. But in one way, it could predispose them to being around those maybe who have ulterior motives or who want to take advantage of that kindness. Okay. So it's so important with Libra that we as parents guide them and help them choose their friends wisely, because these are the people that they are going to be spending a lot of their time around. These are the people that they are going to be relating to. So that's very, very important. And we must teach our children that as much as you love your friends, you love your friend group, you love the feeling of belonging, it's not always possible to make everybody happy all the time. You're never going to please everybody in the world, and that's not your job. And with strong Libra placements at times, sometimes they have a tendency to value the relationship or value being a part of the group or with others so much that they sacrifice or they give up a part of themselves. And that's where we want to guide our children and give them advice that it's wonderful to have friends, it's wonderful to be in the group, but not at the expense of denying who you are and not at the expense of being authentically you. Okay. So that's very important. Also, with the moon in Libra, your child may have an appreciation for art, music, or fashion. Libra is ruled by the planet Venus, and so you might want to check out art lessons, or you might want to see how they feel about music lessons. Anything where they are able to creatively express would be very good for a child with a strong placement in Libra. The number one lesson, the number one thing that you want to teach your child with that Libra moon is it's not realistic to have harmony all of the time with no conflict. You know, conflict is a natural part of life. And what matters with conflict is how we show up and how we express ourselves. But inherently, there's nothing wrong with conflict as long as we handle it in the right way. So let your child know they're not always going to be able to control their environment. They're not always going to be able to control the people around them and keep everybody happy and make everybody feel, you know, pleased all of the time. That's not their job. Teach them that they can learn to control that sense of peace and balance within themselves. And when they learn how to do that within themselves, then what's going on in the environment around them really will not tend to affect them as much. It's a very important lesson with Libra. So, if you have a child who has their moon in Libra and you want to know more, or, you know, if your child has a moon that's not in the sign of Libra, I have a wonderful program, a 5-week program called the Stellar Parent Method. And what this program enables you to do, it helps you to custom design your parenting approach based on your child's natal chart, based on how your child is wired naturally. And this is a program that I'm with you every step of the way. You meet with me and I guide you through the process. And if you want more information, please visit my website and click on the astrology tab at the top, and it should pop up in the menu below. All right, guys. So now we've got a caller with two daughters who sent in their charts, and I'm so excited to dive into these charts. Okay, let's see. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you for sending
Thanks
the
for having me.
information in. Yeah, information in for your girls. Okay, so I'm going to start with the younger daughter. She's 12 years old. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So her big three, she is a Virgo rising. Her sun is in the sign of Aries, and her moon is in the sign of Gemini. Now, the rising sign is really important because at this younger age, that tends to be how children come across to others primarily. Like, whereas with adults, we're working with our sun sign as well. That's really not so much the case when they're younger. So, Virgo rising, she's got Virgo on her ascendant, which is how she comes across to others. And her Virgo rising is ruled by Mercury, which is retrograde in her chart. So, I'm just wondering with your 12-year-old, does she tend to be a little shy or soft spoken at all
Just when she first meets people.
when she first meets? Okay, okay. And what about the other qualities of Virgo? Have they manifested yet? Does she have any qualities of wanting everything to be neat and orderly, organized?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Okay.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now that can be a thing with some people with strong Virgo placements in the chart, but not always. It's not always the case. Now I'm one thing about Virgo that I tend to notice quite across the board with people is there is this tendency, maybe at times, to be a little bit hard on oneself. Has your daughter exhibited any of those traits?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Is she a perfectionist?
Can be, yes.
Can be. Okay. Yeah. So the thing that we want to remember with children who have strong Virgo placements, there's this inner drive almost when Virgo is out of balance, like for perfection. Everything's got to be perfect. And then if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. And then I don't want to try anymore. Right. And so when we've got a child with one of their major three, one of their big three in the sign of Virgo, we really want to be supportive of them, in learning that being perfect is not really something that's realistic, and it's not something that's required in order for them to be loved. You really want to emphasize to her that, um, whether or not you're perfect, you're always going to be loved. We are always going to love you no matter what. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Okay. Um, Now, with her moon in Gemini, she does have her moon in Gemini, in the 10th house from what I'm looking at. Moon in Gemini, her emotions, they could usually, like with moon and Gemini, sometimes the emotions change quickly. There's a lot of
Hmm.
curiosity. There's this love of communicating and sharing ideas and talking with other people. Do you understand that about her?
Yep, every one of them.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. And so, one of the things, because the moon really has to do with what makes our children feel safe and nurtured. If she's ever going through a difficult time, being able to have mom or dad there or somebody to come to and have a conversation about what's going on and being able to open up that way, that might be very cathartic for her, very healing. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Good. Okay. One other thing that I noticed here, she does have Mars conjunct her ascendant and it's retrograde. And when we have one of the inner planets that's, retrograde when we are born, usually there's a lesson there to learn with how to interact with the energies of that planet or how to express that planet in a balanced way. So, Mars retrograde, one good thing about it is it can make someone very persistent. It gives them really good staying power, good endurance. But they might be a little bit hesitant to assert themselves or to speak up for themselves. Does that make sense at all for your daughter?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. So she's got that Mars retrograde conjunct her ascendant. And the closer a planet is to one of the angles, the stronger it becomes. So, that Mars is very, very strong in her expression. So, one of her life lessons that she came in to learn from looking at her chart is learning how to channel the energy of Mars in a balanced way, learning how to speak up for herself, how to assert herself, how to take action with ease and not feel guilty or bad about it. You understand?
Yes, I do very much. Yes.
Yeah. And another thing, her Mars that's conjunct the ascendant, it's also opposite Neptune. Okay. So that adds, another layer to it where your daughter might not always feel confident when she takes action. She might be really hard on herself, or it might be hard for her to go after what she wants, or she might have this belief like nothing I do is ever good enough, so why even try? Does any of that ringing a bell with you?
It's so spot on. It's scary.
Yeah, yeah, and it's amazing what we can find out, what we can learn from astrology. Also, with that Mars opposite Neptune, it's really she might have the tendency in life to feel a little helpless, to feel a little bit
Mhm.
victimized at times, or to feel a little bit like my actions really it's not going to make a difference. So one thing that you can do as mom is to give her that message that everything that you do, it makes a difference. You can make a difference. You are capable. You can do anything that you want. All of that messaging will be really helpful for her with that particular placement. And you want to empower her and tell her it's okay for you to make your own decisions. It's okay to make your own decisions and then to go with those decisions and not worry about what anybody else is thinking. Okay. Because with that Neptune in there, sometimes we want to defer to others or refrain from taking action at all. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And also with Neptune there across from Mars, Melissa, there is we can express these placements at the highest level of expression or, at the lower end. So there's a spectrum. And we always kind of want to go towards the highest end of expression. So one of the ways of working with that Mars opposite Neptune is to have your daughter express that energy through some type of meditation practice or yoga, tai chi, qigong, something along those lines. Is she has she expressed any interest in anything like that so far?
She's tried meditation before.
Okay, okay. So something along those lines. And I'm just curious, is she creative? Is she musical? Does she like art? Anything like that?
She's very creative. She loves art.
There we go. Okay, good. So that creative outlet will help her to express that energy in a very healthy way. Another thing that I noticed, she's got Sun conjunct Uranus, and that's the mark of like a change agent. That's the mark of someone who comes here to change things. Uranus is the planet not only of shock and awe, but sudden breakthroughs, moments of brilliance, right? So that Sun
Mhm.
conjunct Uranus, she is meant to be different. She's meant to be different and she's meant to recognize her uniqueness. And even if she doesn't fit in with others, which may happen as she's growing up, this is the mark of someone who's meant to do different things, go their own pathway, and not necessarily follow the group. Do you understand that so far?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, good, good. One other thing I noticed, she's got Sun square Pluto, which is huge. So she does come in this lifetime with a huge reserve of internal power and resilience. But one of her lessons is she's got to learn how to use that power responsibly. Okay. And
Mhm.
you really want to help her to step into her power. And one of the ways that she could do that, because she's got Pluto in the fifth house, that's the house of creative expression. One of the ways that she can do that is through like her art or music. Wherever we have Pluto in our chart, that's where we have the capacity to be really empowered or really disempowered. So she can tap into that power through creative expression. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to move to the next chart. We've got a few minutes left. Now, this daughter, is she 23? Is that correct?
She is. Yes.
Okay. And we've got a Sagittarius rising, Gemini sun, Aquarius moon. I'm just curious, was there a difficult birth for her? Was the birth process difficult when she was born?
It was horrible. Horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got Chiron conjunct her ascendant. Yeah. And that's one of the ways it can manifest. Bless her heart. But I'm going to tell you what I love is her Gemini sun, it's conjunct her sister's moon. So when I did a synastry chart of both charts together, your oldest daughter's Gemini planets, her sun, they're all conjunct her younger sister's moon. So do they have a close relationship?
Not really. No.
Oh, wow, wow. Yeah, I'm surprised. Okay, yeah, because with the sun, one has the sun conjunct all of the other, well, the sun and other planets conjunct the younger one's moon. So that's surprising to me.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Now, another thing that I noticed with your oldest daughter, her chart is air dominant. I don't think I've ever seen a chart so heavy in one element. So, air is about communicating, sharing ideas, expressing oneself, relationships, right? So, your oldest daughter, her
Mhm.
chart is air dominant and she's got no water. So,
Mm.
communication, friendship, relationships, have those all been important to her throughout her life thus far?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Now, with the no water, does it tend to be difficult for her to express emotion?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I can see that. So the key for her to keeping her air clean in a way, according to astrologer Deborah Silverman, is to have the mind speak through the heart in a very authentic and honest way. So, whenever she's getting ready to say something or express herself, she needs to make sure that her mind and her heart are aligned and that what she's saying is very authentic and honest. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And another thing that's interesting, your oldest daughter also, even though there's a huge age gap here, also had Mars retrograde at the time that she was born, conjunct her ascendant. Now, her Mars is in the
Wow.
12th, whereas the youngest one's is on the ascendant, but in the first. But both of these girls have Mars retrograde right there on the ascendant. So, with her as well, she may not have always felt comfortable expressing anger. That makes sense?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And conjunct that Chiron ascendant, there may have been messaging that she received from society about don't be angry, don't get angry, anger is bad, confrontation is bad,
Mhm.
don't be confident, that type of thing. That makes sense.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the messaging there for her, the lesson that she's really here to learn is that it's okay to express anger safely, and it's okay to show sensitivity and to assert herself. Has that been a
Mm.
challenge? It's like speaking up for herself. Has that been a challenge?
A huge challenge, yes.
Okay, yeah, because she was also, so both of your girls when they were born with Mars retrograde and Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde can show up as someone when they're young, they're very shy, they're hesitant to speak, they're hesitant to talk and express their ideas. And one of the lessons in life is learning how to express yourself. Make sense?
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So both of them are working on on this lesson of really learning to communicate in a way, and learning to assert themselves in a way. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, with the oldest daughter as well, there is a wide opposition to Pluto that we have with the moon. So stepping into her, no, with the sun, I'm sorry, stepping into her personal power, just like with the youngest sister, is also another key life lesson as well. So really leaning into what makes her feel empowered.
Mhm.
Okay, so with the oldest one, her with Pluto in the 12th house, she might feel empowered, like from things like meditation, being of service to other people, or just exploring her own sense of spirituality. Those are things that could be really empowering for her. I will say
Okay.
also she has an Aquarius moon conjunct Uranus. So remember, your youngest daughter had Sun Uranus. This
Mhm.
daughter has Moon conjunct Uranus, and then Uranus is also trine her sun. So both of your girls, Uranus is very strong in both of their charts, and Uranus is usually that's the maverick, that's the person that's here to do something new, do something different, to
Mhm.
step out of the box. And so they may not always fit in. Now, with your oldest daughter, was that the case? Like when she was in school?
Yep, definitely.
Wow. Okay, okay.
Yep.
And with that Aquarius moon, because Aquarius is an air sign, so this daughter will tend to process her emotions intellectually or through her thoughts, and not so much. She might not be the one who wants to cry, right?
Mhm.
And because of that, other people might think that she's emotionally detached.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that she processes her emotions in a different way. Okay. So with
Yes.
that moon Uranus, sun Uranus, she is a unique individual. And
Mhm.
she's here to learn how to be comfortable with her uniqueness and how to embrace her uniqueness. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Good, good. And her moon is an aspect to the Gemini planets. So communication and talking about her feelings could be very helpful for her if she's ever feeling upset. Freedom is important. Doing things with groups is important. The one thing that we want to teach her is, with Aquarius moon, sometimes they get uncomfortable around people who have strong displays of emotion, like someone who's crying. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of her key life lessons is learning how to tolerate the emotional differences between her and others. Neither one is good, neither one is bad. We just integrate and process things differently as people. So, with all of her air, it might be hard for her to really understand someone, let's say, who's water heavy and they tend to cry. But
Okay.
just understanding that difference gives us more of a sense of compassion and understanding for the other person instead of judgment. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. We are almost out of
Thank
time. So
you.
thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for calling in.
Uh-huh. Appreciate it.
All right. And for everyone else, thank you so much for joining me today. Solar eclipse is tomorrow. So happy solar eclipse. And I hope you all have a fabulous week. I'll see you again next week.